There's a quiet pain that comes with regret, a lingering thought that you could have done better. But sometimes the only way to heal is to let others see your vulnerability. Will you be there for me when I do? I've come to understand that regret is not the enemy, but the ally we didn't know we needed. It pushes us to become better versions of ourselves. But will you still be here when I'm not sure how to take the next step? I can't change the past, but I can change how I approach the future. The real test will be whether I can still count on you as I move forward, knowing the pain I've carried with me. Regret doesn't make us weak. It reminds us of our strength to change. Will you still be there as I embrace my flaws and use them to grow into the person I want to become? The weight of regret often feels like it will crush you, but it's also what propels us to become stronger. Will you stand by me as I face those consequences of my past and find the courage to move forward? Sometimes the hardest thing is not the regret itself, but the fear of losing those we care about in the process of confronting it. Will you still be there when I reveal the things I've hidden for so long? Regret is not about wishing you could change the past. It's about realizing you have the power to shape the future. But will you still believe in me as I take the first steps toward healing? I've spent so much time wondering how you would react to my regrets, and now it's time to find out. Will you still be by my side when I let you see the truth of who I am? The most difficult part of regret is knowing that it may have caused pain to others. Will you still be here, even when I expose the moments where I failed to live up to your expectations? The past may be behind me, but the regret lingers, and with it, the desire for redemption. Will you be by my side as I face the things I regret and strive to be better moving forward? Regret is a complicated emotion. It's not just about guilt, but also about the hope that we can make things right. Will you help me find that hope, even when the past feels too heavy to bear? I'm not proud of the things I regret, but I've learned that owning them is the first step toward healing. Will you still be there for me when I reveal what I've carried for so long? The truth about regret is that it's never as simple as just wishing things had turned out differently. It's the painful realization that we're always learning, growing, and hoping for forgiveness. Regret is a companion we all carry, but it's the choices we make after that define who we truly are. Will you stand by me as I show you the path I'm trying to create, despite the shadows of my past? There's a strange beauty in facing regret head on, in owning up to the things we wish we could erase. Will you still be with me when I reveal the pieces of myself I once thought I had to hide? I've carried regret for so long that it feels like a part of me, but now I'm ready to let it go. Will you still stand by me when I share the moments I wish I could undo? Regret is a gift wrapped in pain, and sometimes it's the hardest lesson we ever learn. But through it, we find the strength to grow. Will you walk with me as I learn from the past and embrace the future? Sometimes the hardest part of regret is knowing that you may never be able to fully atone for the mistakes you've made. Will you still be by my side when I share what I've learned from those mistakes? I've realized that regret doesn't define who we are. It's the way we choose to move forward that does. Will you still be with me as I take my next steps, knowing the weight of the past I carry? Facing regret isn't easy, but it's the only way to grow. Will you stand by me as I take the hardest step of all, confronting the things I wish I could change? Regret is a teacher, but not always a kind one. Will you be by my side as I try to learn from it and grow into a better version of myself? It's easy to regret things when you're looking back, but the real challenge is figuring out how to move forward. Will you be there to support me as I try to turn my past into something positive? Regret is the voice in your head that says, "What if?" But it's also the voice that pushes you to do better. Will you still stand by me as I work to rewrite my story? I've come to understand that regret is not something to fear. It's something to embrace, because it's a sign that we're learning, evolving, and growing. Will you join me on this journey of growth? Regret doesn't fade easily, but I've learned that it doesn't have to haunt you forever. Will you still walk with me as I find peace and move forward, knowing what I've done and what I hope to change? It's hard to face the things we regret, but even harder to wonder if others will still accept us once they see the truth. Will you still be there when I share my deepest, most painful regrets? Regret is a heavy burden that weighs on your heart, a constant reminder of decisions made in moments of uncertainty. But the question is, can you find the strength to carry that weight and still stand tall when you reveal it to others? The truth about regret is that it's never as simple as just wishing you had done things differently. It's the painful realization that no matter how hard you try, the past can never be changed, only learned from. Sometimes we carry regrets as though they define us, but in reality, they are only a chapter of our story. Will you still walk beside me when I let you see the pages I wish I could tear out? In the silence of my thoughts, I wrestle with my own choices. The weight of regret presses down, yet there's hope in the possibility of redemption. Will you still be there if I show you my scars? The hardest part of revealing a regret is not the act of speaking it aloud, but wondering if you'll still have the same support, love, and trust once it's out in the open. The past is not a place we can return to, but it's a road we can learn from. Will you be there to guide me as I take the first step into the future, despite the mistakes I carry with me? When regret strikes, it often feels like an unspoken secret that holds you captive. But what happens when you share that secret? Does the love you feel remain the same, or does it change with the truth? Every decision we make shapes who we are, and the regrets we hold shape our current selves. But can the bonds we share withstand the weight of these reflections, or will they crack under the pressure? Regret is not something we seek, but often something we find ourselves living with. The hardest part isn't in facing it alone, but in wondering if you'll still be there when I finally open up. The biggest regrets often come from choices made in moments of fear or uncertainty. But now, as I look back, all I can hope for is that you'll stand beside me as I face the consequences of those decisions. We all make mistakes, but the true challenge lies in how we learn from them and move forward. Will you be my strength when I share the things I wish I could undo? Facing regret is like standing on the edge of a cliff, staring at the distance of the past. It's terrifying to look down, but even more so to wonder if anyone will catch you when you fall. I've spent so many nights reflecting on the choices that led me here, and now I find myself at the crossroads of truth and vulnerability. Will you still be there when I finally speak my truth? The past is a collection of moments, some beautiful, some painful, but all of them are part of who we are. Will you stand by me when I reveal the darkest parts of mine? Regret is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define who we become. Will you walk with me on this journey of growth and healing, even when the past tries to pull us back? There are moments when the weight of regret feels unbearable, and all you want to do is hide from it. But in sharing it with you, I hope to find the courage to move forward, with you by my side. The hardest thing about regret is not the guilt that comes with it, but the fear of how others will see you once you reveal it. Will you still stand by me, knowing everything I wish I could change? Every mistake I've made has led me to this moment of self-awareness. But the real test is whether the ones I love will still see me as I am now, or only as the sum of my mistakes. Regret isn't just about what we wish we could change. It's about understanding that we have the power to shape the future, no matter how difficult the past may be. Will you be with me as I move forward? I've learned that regret is something you can never outrun, but you can choose to face it with strength and humility. Will you stand by me as I confront my own mistakes and find a path to redemption. Regret lives in the silence between what we did and what we wish we had done. But when that silence breaks, will you still be there to listen, even when the truth is harder than I expected? The hardest thing about regret is not the weight of the past, but the fear of the unknown future. Will you still be here when I take the leap, knowing everything that's brought me here? I've spent too much time hiding from my regrets, afraid of the judgment that might come with them. But now I'm ready to face them head on. Will you stand beside me, or will the truth drive us apart? Every regret comes with its own lesson, but the real question is whether we can learn from them together. Will you help me navigate the mess of my past, even when it feels impossible? The hardest part of having regrets isn't just living with them. It's knowing that the people who matter most may not understand. Will you still be by my side when I share my truth?